So we're going to start out at the miter saw, cutting a 45-degree angle on the short edge of all of the long boards. Then we're going to move to the table saw and adjust the blade to 45 degrees. Then we will begin to put a 45-degree bevel on the long edge of the long boards. You will need to bevel both long edges on the piece that will make up the front of the mantle, but on the pieces that make up the top and the bottom, you only need to 45 one long edge. Then while our blades set at the appropriate angle, we'll go ahead and cut the French cleat. Then we can begin to cut the angles on the edge of the shorter pieces that will become the end caps. Now that all of our cuts are made, we can get a really good look at all of our pieces. This front piece will have a 45-degree edge on every side. The top and bottom pieces will have that 45-degree on both ends and both short faces. On our two end caps, you will have 1, 2, 3 45-degree faces and one 90-degree face that will rest against the wall. Our French cleat system that will allow us to hang the mantle will have a 45-degree angle cut roughly down the middle. Now here are all of the pieces that are required for the entire build, just 7 pieces in total. Now the easiest way to glue up all of these mitered corners is to join them together with tape. So I've used some painter's tape to lay across the joints, and now I'm basically going to unfold it, apply glue to all of the joint areas, then fold it back up and use the tape as a clamping mechanism. Apply liberal amounts of glue to each mitered joint. I used a brush, but you could use a stick or your finger to do this part. Now that the glue is applied to all of the joints, fold it back up. Make sure you use your tape to align all of your joints and add a little bit more tape just for reinforcement to make sure that the joints are secure. Then I used a 23 gauge brad nailer to add a little more stability to the joint while the glue dries. Then you can remove the tape from the joints as they are now secured, and I use a damp rag to wipe the edges where there may have been any glue squeeze out. Using this method just helps with cleanup and prevents a lot of sanding down the road. Now I've just made a reference mark in the middle of my French cleat and the middle of my mantle so that I can make sure that it hangs evenly from the back. After applying glue, I put the French cleat into place and I clamp it to hold it temporarily. Then I will add some more of those small 23 gauge pin nails just to seat it while it dries. Now for a good old trick to clean up mitered edges. I use a screwdriver with a rounded edge to run over that joint where the two miters meet. This helps to clean up that joint and to give the appearance that it is one solid piece of wood. This process does take a little bit of time, but trust me, it's well worth it in the end. Now it's time for some sanding. You want to sand all of the faces, and you'll notice the technique I use to round over those edges just to help blend them and give it that solid wood look. Here's a great example of a before and after on a particular joint. By using the screwdriver trick in combination with the sanding, you pretty much make those edges disappear. Now it's time to apply whatever finish you like, In this case, I chose to use a dark stain by Beveling, just applying it in a basic stain pattern, wiping it on with a foam brush, then wiping it off almost immediately with a dry, clean rag. When staining a project this large, don't try to take on too much surface area at once, as that will lead to uneven and discolored areas. Just take small bits at a time, work that small area, and then move on. Now we begin the process to which we will actually attach the mantle to the wall. This is our French cleat that I cut earlier, and after I pre-drilled holes in it, I used a masonry bit to go into the tile and then use specialty concrete anchor screws to attach the French cleat to that tile surface. I made sure to install the center screw first so that I could apply the level to the top and make sure that the surface that the mantle was being mounted on was extremely level. Now all that's left is to install the mantle with your French cleat system that you've attached to the wall.